Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jared Lee, and I'm joined, as usual, by my lovely wife, Jamie Lee. So, Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Lovely.
And hopefully, we talked about this on the Universal show, but hopefully everybody had a great Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Yes, thank you. I don't know if you meant that for me or not, but thank you again.
And you.
Okay. Yes, hopefully everyone had a good Father's Day. You got some good gifts and maybe, I don't know, peace and quiet. I don't know.
Let me ask you something. Who do you think, let's just say animated movie. What animated movie father or dad or whatever is the best one? If you had to, think about it, I'm just thinking about all of the good dads, because there's a lot of dads, not as many moms, but there's a lot of dads in the animated movies at Disney.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say probably I'd go with Mufasa.
Yeah.
But probably my main answer would be King Triton. Because I kind of see myself in him. I need a giant trident.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm always trying to get my children to not go give their voices to sea witches. Because,
It's a common issue in this.
Well, it comes down to listen to your dad.
Yeah.
Hey, don't go down there and sell your soul to the sea witch.
But when she finally was like, I love him, I want to be with him, then he let her go.
It's because he's a good dad.
Yep.
He also probably vetted Prince Eric. I'm pretty sure he probably ran a background check on him.
He just hates how much he's gonna miss her. But also, he just ripped in the ride.
Well, I was gonna say that's why I would like to have a trident and be like, oh, and then
all his stomach muscles and his.
Do you need a moment with King Triton?
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
I'll grow my beard very long when I'm older, and
also beard.
I'll make sure I'm on TRT at that point too. But
well, I think Mufasa. I think he's probably the best one.
I mean, clearly best voice.
Oh, clearly.
The only thing about Lion King, I know it's based off. Isn't it based off Hamlet?
It's loosely based off of Hamlet. Yeah.
The only thing I wish would be Mufasa got his vengeance and he got to go out. But I get it. His son got his vengeance, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other dads that are just really, really solid.
I mean, you got the Incredibles. You got Mr. Incredible.
He's good. I mean, if we're going Pixar, I would say Marlin from Finding Nemo. He crosses the ocean.
Yeah, but he also kind of caused his son to get lost in the first place because he's overprotective.
Yeah, but he's overprotective because he loves him so much.
Well, I understand. I get it, too. I get it.
So, yeah, I'd say Marlin, Mufasa. Yeah. Maybe Sully, if you want to call him a dad, him and Mike. Because
Sully?
of Boo, Mike and Sully.
Not a dad.
He's dad-ish.
They kidnapped that kid. What are you talking about?
They didn't kidnap her. She ran out.
Okay, well, still, in the eyes of the law, that's kidnapping. Let's be honest.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Oh, well, that's true. It would be considered kidnapping.
So, no, I would not consider Sully a dad in this situation.
What about, Moana's dad?
I mean, yeah, he was fine. Yeah.
He was good. I mean, he was like, okay, you're going to be chief.
Don't
go out in the water.
He had a healthy fear of the water.
He had a lot of fear.
Which is weird for a seafaring tribe to have a leader that doesn't like the water. A little strange.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Little
hey,
obstacle there.
Hey, as a group of people, we go out in the sea a lot. This is how we live. Cool beans. I'll be your king. All right. What's our first plan? No more sea. You're like, okay. All right. Destroy all the boats. Okay.
I mean, that's not really what happened, but okay, Jared.
I mean, it's kind of what happened.
Okay, Jared. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you that question about fathers, and I have done it, and now I have an answer.
Okay. Well, thank you. Out of whoever answered out there listening, great answer or bad answer. I don't know how you answered. So.
Oh, what about the worst father? Who was the worst one?
I don't know. Who would you say?
I don't even know. Princess Jasmine's.
He was weak. He was weak.
Yeah, I mean, he tried.
He also let Jafar just trample over everything what to do.
That was a bad idea.
Get a backbone, bro.
Yeah, he was.
Quit letting the guy that clearly is sinister, clearly, just he's evil, laughing like a soap opera. Everything you say, maybe not listen to that guy. Just saying.
Well,
and the guy that if he has a snake, stick. And he's constantly looking at it, and it glows red. Maybe not that guy too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd question Aurora, Sleeping Beauty's parents. Really, the dad. banish their baby off.
That's a rough go. That's a rough, yeah.
They basically did it because, well, in the backstory, but that doesn't really count. But I was going to say, like, because he was mean to Maleficent. Remember?
It's been a very long time since I've seen that movie.
Well, it was Maleficent the movie addresses the fact that, like, he had a relationship with Maleficent when he was younger, and that's why she hated him so much.
Wait, the Maleficent movie, the one that Angelina Jolie was in?
Yes.
Oh, so they retconned it.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, he ripped off her wings.
So they retconned it. That wasn't in the original.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I just want to check.
Like, you don't know why she hates them so much. In the Sleeping Beauty, like, cartoon animated movie. Okay. Sorry, I just went super
we just went into a tangent here.
So sorry about that. But yeah, okay. Anyway, Father's Day was great. Happy Father's Day. Let's move on.
Yes. Jamie has lots of questions about fathers.
Sorry.
It is totally fine. But
it may be 10:30 at night right now, and I'm a little loopy.
Jamie either gets very tired or very loopy. Lucky for you guys, you got loopy, Jamie.
I got loopy.
We'll see how this goes. So, yes, again, happy Father's Day to everybody. But today we do have some news we're going to talk about, including something that is going away in Frontierland that I'm not surprised by, and a couple of things there. And then we're going to talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure as we got to ride it, or I say I kind of wrote it, and Jamie fully wrote it. We'll talk about that. But before we get to that, we do have some, as Jamie says, housekeeping. So if you're watching us over on YouTube, over at CTM Podcast, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't, we have video versions of the show over there and show clips, so you can check it out there if you'd rather watch us versus listen. And if you're listening to us on just good old trusty podcast format, audio format, whatever platform you listen on, we appreciate that. Just ask you to please subscribe and leave us a review if you wouldn't mind. It helps us to continue to grow the show. And if you want even more content, check out Club 32. That's our private group where we post more in there. We have live streams. We have every Tuesday we have a live stream. We have Cool Kids Kitchen once a month. We have the upcoming the Clubhouse where members become part of the show in there. We have music loops. We have a private podcast feed. You get 20% off of CTM apparel and 1901 Candle Company products. Private Facebook group. We do meetups. All sorts of things in there. So if you want to check that out, you can go to ctmvip.com. We have monthly or yearly options, and it's a fun group. And it's just, and if you have especially if you got vacation questions about going to Disney and Universal, a lot of people can answer it even before we get in there and answer it. So it's a fun group, and it's a great way to contribute to the show and get more content. So again, ctmvip.com is where you go for that. So. All right, well, the first news story that we have is that it is now confirmed that Frontierland Shootin' Arcade is closing for good to become a DVC member lounge.
Yes, the last day of operation is June 23rd, so it's closing very soon. It will be a, quote, pioneered-inspired space with influences of the bygone era of adventure and exploration. And it will be about 2,500 square feet. So, yeah, it's becoming a DVC lounge, and they had announced, I want to say it was in January, that Magic Kingdom was getting one, and they just didn't say where or when. So, I don't know how long this is going to take for them to move it into a DVC lounge, but the ride is closing very soon, so I'm guessing they'll start on it pretty soon.
Yeah, we had talked a couple weeks ago about this was a rumor that was out there. I remember saying at the time this is probably going to happen. I don't like this, not because this shooting arcade is like this thing that I'm not going to act like I've gone to this a lot. I think I've done it a handful of times. It's just the fact it's an opening day attraction. It's something that's free that anybody can go do is being replaced with a DVC lounge that not everybody can do. And you're sticking it right in the middle of Frontierland. I understand like Disney technically I think makes money off this because they're going to make the money. Like DVC is going to quote pay for that. So it's like money's going to one pocket from the other. But I don't have a problem with DVC lounges in general, but I don't like it when something that everybody can do is taken away for something that less people can do. I don't like that.
Disney likes doing that.
They do like doing that. And I don't like, I still think that they're probably going to phase out Frontierland if I would be to guess in some way.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this is the beginning of that, like I talked about before, but I'm not surprised by it. Construction wise, I guess we'll see how much this impacts. It probably won't impact Frontierland too much in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate that an opening day thing like that is going away, but Nothing to do about it now. I guess we'll just see in what happens to Frontierland. But I kind of feel like it's definitely on the chopping block.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. Just it's happening. So
That is true.
I really don't have anything else to add. I mean, like I didn't really do the shooting arcade. I don't really care if it goes or if it stays. If it's a DVC lounge, I don't care about that either because I'm not a DVC member. So this is just a space that's changing, and I'll just wave to it and say hello.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to act like I go do this every single time we go and things like that. I don't think most people do, but it is just the principle of it is something that everybody can do currently. It's being replaced with something that, I mean, the DVC lounges are fine. We've been up in one. We've had friends bring us up there, but like, I mean, it's basically a space to get some snacks and have a drink and get in the AC. Basically, there's nothing like real fancy about them. But yeah. So, all right. Next story we have is, speaking of DVC, Disney has announced Welcome Home Weeks, as they are being called.
Yeah. So this week's that they're talking about runs July 22nd through August 24th. It includes some fun offerings like complimentary ice cream treats, a morning coffee meetup, a wine mixer, a one-time use 20% mobile order discount, and some special character experiences. They also have some other experiences that you can do at Vero Beach, Hilton Head, Disneyland, and Aulani. And from what I understand, that these are only available to members that qualify for membership extras. So, like if you're just a resale member, you wouldn't be able to do these things. You have to have either grandfathered in, however long ago it was, 8 years ago, to qualify for these extras, or meet that direct threshold. And I think it's 150 points right now. But anyway, you would know if you qualify or not. So anyway, that's
I don't think I qualify.
No, we are not DVC members. But again, they do this occasionally. Welcome Home Weeks is different. Like this is a new thing. But anything that gives DVC members more like perks, like I'm all for, because those folks spend a lot of money at Disney. And so I'm all for them to get more stuff from Disney that's included. So
I'm not gonna lie, I have no opinion on the matter. So
okay,
it doesn't involve me. So I'm very simple. It doesn't really involve me. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
again, this is not something that takes things like, okay, I guess maybe this caveat is a lot of things is like, this doesn't take anything away from like normal guests. So sure, why not?
That's what I'm saying.
If this is something that is taken away, that is now given, that I tend to have problems with. But okay, that's fine. And it doesn't affect me. So
fair enough.
Enjoy it, DVC members.
Fair enough.
You're welcome. Not that I had anything to do with it. Okay. Next story we have is the CFTOD, as I like to say, the CFTOD, has approved a development agreement of $17 billion investment into Walt Disney World. And now Disney has dropped their First Amendment lawsuit against DeSantis in Florida.
We are not going to go into this, are we?
No, I was just going to say, I did say that this would be the inevitable result of this.
Yep.
This would happen. And again, I had talked to some people that were actually lawyers. I know the law. And both of them had said, this is probably what's going to happen, because like they didn't think that there was much of a case on Disney's side. It was probably posturing, so that seems to be the case here. But either way, Disney has dropped their lawsuit, and now there's this agreement for a $17 billion investment into Disney World.
Yes.
So what that is going to be, we don't know yet. But the timing is lining up with, you got D23 coming up in August, so more than likely. Yeah. I don't think we have in the news story, but DMRO had hinted earlier this week, or maybe it was the last week, that big announcements are coming. Like they keep teasing this out. So they clearly are going to announce something at D23. Maybe they pull something out that we're not expecting. I know people are expecting, Dino Land, probably Beyond Big Thunder, maybe the thing they're holding in their back pocket to pull out, which one of the next stories we'll talk about, I think, could be involving that.
Well, you can go ahead and talk about it if you want.
Well, okay. So one of the stories you have is that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is undergoing a major refurbishment very soon. So it says what is exactly to be done has not been announced, and Disney has not announced anything as of yet. So we'll have to, it says basically we're going to wait and see till D23. So
I think that's when they'll talk about it.
This could be, I guess if you would go super blue sky on this, is what they could do is if they do that Beyond Big Thunder that was rumored, that they retheme Big Thunder perhaps in some way. I don't think they should. I don't know if they'll retheme it, but they do update Big Thunder, maybe have the same graphics like Disneyland's has.
I think that was the assumption, was
with
they
the
were going
projection
to,
tech. Which
and
with
the explosion,
that, But with that though, I don't feel like that's a major refurbishment. I feel like that's, it's like one part of the ride. I feel like you can install that fairly quickly. I don't know if that would fall under major refurbishment, but maybe it would.
I don't know.
But the rumor being that, Beyond Big Thunder is something that would tie in maybe Big Thunder, and then they change up Frontierland. So who knows? But that could be something that they announce at D23. I wouldn't be surprised if something along those lines was part of the announcement.
Yeah. It's true. Well, I'm just glad that all those lawsuits have gone away, and now we can just concentrate on building more and, improving the parks and, all good stuff.
Ideally, yes.
Yes.
I would have to imagine Disney's probably, I don't know. I'm very curious how aggressive they'll be. I kind of feel like they're going to be pretty aggressive with what they're going to announce.
Yeah.
But hopefully whatever they do announce, they do. I'll just put it that way.
They have some pressure.
But yeah, I mean, I think after EPCOT's, what they said they were going to do, and then what we kind of got, which we're going to talk about Communicore Hall here in a little bit. But I think a lot of people are a little gun shy when Disney announces things like, okay, that sounds great, but let's see if this happens. Like, I kind of feel like a lot of people are going to be in this way with Disney. So we'll see what comes. But hopefully something really good, or many things very good, and all that stuff. That made no sense, but I'm going to stick with it. Many things very good. There we go. All right.
Well, speaking of EPCOT,
it's a theme park that Test Track is in, and Test Track 2.0 is now officially closed. So Disney announced EPCOT is done, and then the next day they're like, Test Track is now under refurbishment. So it's not really
they
done.
mean the transformation, sir.
I get it, but
Okay.
yes. So it's going to be. They haven't really said what they're changing it to. It's going to be Test Track 3.0.
The construction walls have shown a new type of logo.
Yeah, new logo.
But again, it's still blue, still black. So I mean, I don't think this is going to be like a completely different ride. Like it'll be the same thing. Like you're maybe not testing it like the first one was. Which, why would they call it Test Track if it's different? You know what I mean?
I feel like you should be testing it on a track.
Yeah, well,
I feel like,
okay.
Or
Fair
call it the
enough.
NASCAR experience.
Oh gosh, would they do that?
No, but they probably would be kind of funny if they did.
But also with that,
and play Creed the whole way around. That's what they do.
Be prepared if you're at EPCOT in the next, I don't know how long ever it's going to be closed, a year. That the other attraction queues are going to be very long because Test Track was kind of a people eater, as far as like the queue goes and in the ride and everything. So Remy's has been insanely busy. Frozen has been busier. Guardians is pretty much the same. Soarin' has been busier. It's just like, it's a major ride at EPCOT and it's taken away. There's no festival right now. So crowds are like, well, I guess we'll just do attractions. And that one's already missing. So it's like, well, we'll just do the other ones.
Well, I was going to say, if you don't have a festival going on, I guess the timing is I don't understand. Like, why do this now? Why not wait until you have a festival going on to then start this at least?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was seeing some footage of like Ratatouille, like insane lines.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people underestimate EPCOT. If there's no festival going on, those festivals eat up a lot of people too.
Yes, they do.
Because people just start going around the world. They're going to food booths. They're just hanging out back there. And when you don't have that going on, and then you have a major ride down, it is, the other rides are going to have much longer wait times. So I guess just if you're wanting to do these things, be prepared, or, rope drop, I suppose, is one way to try and combat it. But I don't know if you won't be the only one doing that, but
yeah,
that is one way. But yeah, so be prepared for that if you're doing that. But we'll see what they do with Test Track. I'm sure they'll probably, my guess is at D23, they'll have details about what they're doing with Test Track.
Hopefully we'll know more.
They haven't really said anything.
Not much, no.
So, all right. Well, that's it for the news. But before we get to talking about Communicore Hall and Tiana's, Jamie does have a poll time.
Poll time.
It's poll time. Tell us what you think. Every opinion counts. Come on and link. We're discussing it all. We're taking a stance. Poll time's the segment. Let's give it a chance.
Yeah.
I still think that's too long.
It's so good. I love it. So this week's poll time actually ties into what we just talked about with Test Track and EPCOT. So the question was, Now that Epcot transformation is complete, I put that in quotes, and a new Test Track 3.0 is coming, what other ride should be either redone, updated, demolished at Epcot? And I put a bunch of options in here, and I let people choose whatever they wanted. As they could choose as many as they want to. So 53% said something should be done about Mission Space.
I think that goes into the demolished category.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think so too. 22% said Journey into Imagination. And that one is a redo. I don't think people want to see it go away. I think they just want to see it redone.
Probably.
Yeah. Those are the two big ones. And then Spaceship Earth got 9%, which we will talk about Spaceship Earth again in a minute. But yeah, 9% for that one. 4% for Grand Fiesta Tour. And then the rest of the rides in the park got like 3, 2, or 1%. So basically, the main three were Journey to Imagination, Mission Space, and Spaceship Earth.
Okay.
So this doesn't surprise me, especially Mission Space. I feel like that ride itself is just it makes me groan when I think about it. I'm like, oh, I just can't. First of all, the too intense part, I can't do it. Like the orange, I can't do it. Green is like not good enough, and I'm stuck between that. So yeah, it needs to go. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Mission. I've talked about this before. Mission Space is kind of a dud. I think most people would agree with that. It's like the Fast and Furious. What's that ride over in Universal? Supercharged. It's like Fast and Furious Supercharged for Disney World. Everybody hates it, like universally.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a couple of people that are like, "That's
Yeah.
my favorite," and you're like, "Okay," but I think universally, most people just would like it to be something else. But,
Well,
and I agree with the Journey of Imagination. It needs to be something. I like the idea of it. Just get a better ride there.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny about this? Not one person selected Living with the Land, Jared. Nobody wants to change that ride.
Because people just nap there.
Just a nap.
They're like, "Do you want better flute music?" No, don't touch the flutes.
The flutes stay. The flutes are going to stay.
The Peruvian wind flutes, whatever those are called. Those are staying. They should sell that soundtrack. You should get off the ride and go into a gift shop, and it's like, people be like, nobody's going to buy a CD. I think there's people that would buy that soundtrack on the spot.
Yeah.
Peruvian pan flutes.
Peruvian pan flutes. Yeah.
And every night you listen to it, you just go right to bed.
I mean, I like a good.
It'd be like
good
Ambien.
nap.
Just pop that thing in. 2 minutes later, you're out.
Tell us how you really feel.
Everybody likes a good nap.
Sure. Well, yeah, that was pretty much the results of the poll, and the comments were kind of all over the place as far as like what they were talking about. Unpopular opinion, someone said Soarin' is dated and hates the footage of being like curved like it is, and that they can fix that no problem. And I do agree with that. I think that is an easy fix.
You're telling me the Eiffel Tower isn't curved?
I didn't know. Well, you know what? Sometimes only, certain times of the day is it curved, and it goes back and forth depending on what side you're on.
It's news to me. I always thought it was curved.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was the main three: Spaceship Earth, Journey to Imagination, and Spaceship Earth. So, thank you everybody for participating in the poll this week. I will have a new poll next week.
Yes, and if you want to be part of the next poll time, you can do that in 2 ways. You can join the Capture the Magic Facebook community. Jamie posts those in there. And also over on Instagram at Cap the Magic. She posts those in the stories. So you can vote there as well. And only there.
Okay.
Nowhere else.
That was like mean.
Well, I'm just letting people
Only
know.
there.
Somebody went, what about? Nope. No, sir. Or ma'am. Or
So-
young child.
Person.
I'll say it nicer to the young child, but
Oh, okay.
I'll use my dad voice. No. Nobody.
Okay.
Anyways.
What's happening?
I don't know. All right, let's move on to talk about some things that we did on our last little trip.
Okay.
Including we went over to EPCOT and checked out the brand new completed EPCOT 2.0, I suppose, the Communicore Hall and Plaza at EPCOT. We went and checked this out. So we were here. It officially opened on June 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And when were we there?
The 13th.
We were there right on opening day.
That's not correct.
That's how I'm telling people.
Just a little bit after. So here is just what Communicore Hall and Plaza area is. And after I say what it is, then we'll kind of give our 2 cents about what we felt about it. So Communicore Plaza section is an open area with a stage. There's some umbrellas. There's a few tables and chairs, some grassy areas, and there's a celebration and contest show going on right now on the stage. But this is basically a flex outdoor space that's going to be used for festivals and like special events and stuff like that. Festival Favorites is basically a permanent festival booth that offers dishes and drinks from past festivals, and it will change occasionally. Right now, it's got a Latin-based menu that's very, I guess it's the Encanto dishes that you'll find at that flower and garden booth. And we'll talk about those in a minute. They have Mickey and Friends meet and greet, where you can meet Mickey, Goofy, and Minnie right now with cute backdrops in a kind of shared space. The queue is both inside and outside, which Jared has thoughts on. and it pays homage to existing and past EPCOT attractions like Horizons, Dreamfinder, and even Fountain of Nations. And then Communicore Hall, this is a flex space to be used for events and festivals. As it stands right now, there are tables and chairs set up in there, a few couches, and the space is just being used as a place to rest and get some AC. We actually went in here to try some of the festival favorites dishes, but that's what it is right now. The architecture of the building, how would you describe it? Just modern?
Of which building?
The Communicore Hall building.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Festival
It's like
Favorites.
my college cafeteria. Look just like it.
Do you want to start with that one then?
Okay. The things that you've heard about Communicore. Oh, I guess I'll put it this way.
Okay.
If Tiana has Bayou Adventure sort of like got people split, about like some people hate it, some people love it, and they're infighting. I believe Communicore Hall has united people in the fact that basically universally people are like, this is kind of lame, a little underwhelming to put it this way. I say lame in the sense that this took like what, 5+ years to get done?
Well, I want to say they started in 2022, this specifically, but then they've been working other stuff. So I don't know. It's been a couple years.
Either way, it's been a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just a building. Like you go in there, like it literally looks like a plain. I'm not kidding when I say it looks like my college sort of like flex space area. Just nothing on the walls.
It's like a cafeteria.
It's got chairs. It does have AC. I will give it that the AC is actually pretty cool in terms of sometimes with Disney they kind of lately have skimped on the AC. It's actually pretty cold in there. But it's just there's nothing else in there. Like it's just chairs and walls really. There's nothing else in there.
There's no restrooms. Is there? No, there's no restrooms.
I don't think so. Yeah.
It's very plain. Based on what we saw with the concept art, and again, we'll talk about this in a minute as well. We can see the potential of what it could be when festivals come in and they use that space. But for right now, it's just a place to sit and experience.
My question though is if it's going to be used and a lot of people have said, well, okay, it's a flex space for festivals. Okay, then why didn't they open this during a festival? Like your first impression of this is just a very plain building. And
I'm still confused by that.
If you look at the concept art, I mean, yeah, you could put stuff in there and booths and things, but if you do that, you're going to lose all that seating. And it's going to be filled with people. So you're going to, if people are saying, well, it's a nice place to rest and relax, that's not going to be the case if they're going to use this for having a bunch of booths and things in this area.
Right.
Now, I'm not against a place to sit and chill and get out of the heat. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But when you put it into scale about all the things that were said were going to be part of this EPCOT overhaul, and then this is one of the main things they're touting, you're sort of just like, okay, this is not the Gardens Pavilion that they talked about, which is this replaced what that was going to be.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's fine. If you look at Blog Mickey even ran an article that said Communicore Hall is an embarrassment. And I broke that down a little bit on the YouTube video I did. But I think it kind of shows this current status of Imagineering in that, and I kind of did a little research into this. There's a little bit of a revolving door. I can't talk. A revolving door between this place called Gensler Architecture, which they're a giant architecture firm that designs a lot of things. Think of like Google campuses, Facebook campuses, kind of, I guess you would call it soulless corporate type of, imagine those types of buildings. That's what you got here. Very modern looking.
Beautiful.
Yes. they kind of have a revolving door between them and Disney Imagineering. Barbara Souza, who was the head of Imagineering, came from there. Bob Weiss came from there. The recently departed, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, the lady that was the head of the Star Cruiser that just left, she went there just now. And then you have Bruce Vaughn, who came in, who was not part of that. So I don't know if they're maybe reshuffling things in Imagineering, but you can kind of get the idea of where they're getting some of these design elements from. And I think it is from this Gensler type of influence, which we'll talk about again here in just a second, but I think it's a very much California inspired design aesthetic that doesn't really work in Florida. And I'll explain.
Speaking of,
and I'll explain as to why, which is this would be the Communicore Plaza. So this area is where the Encanto show is.
Which the show is cute.
Which I was going to say, the show is actually really good.
Yeah.
If you like Encanto, it's very much a sing-along show like Frozen over in Hollywood Studios, except for you're not sitting in a theater, you're instead sitting and baking in the sun. So the reason I say a California design aesthetic with this is there is no shade, there is no cover on this. So when we went, it was the last show of the day. It was like around 3 o'clock.
It was like 3:25,
Okay.
I think is when it was.
So you get there before the show. There's a little stage. Now the stage is in the shade and all this, but you get there, and I mean, the sun is just baking down on you. This is Central Florida. There were some umbrellas lining the sides. Obviously, those were taken right away. And they weren't big umbrellas. They maybe fit 4 to 5 people underneath them at most.
Yeah.
Now, I think they have added more umbrellas since we went, but I don't still think it solves this problem. But you're sitting here, I mean, to the point where Jamie went inside. My
mom went inside too.
I had the kids in the stroller. I am just baking and melting in the sun. It is insanely hot that day. Our kids even got to the point, our daughter liked the show a lot, and then she hit a point, she's like, I want to go inside because it was just hot.
This show is like at least 25 minutes.
It's a pretty long show.
It's a long show.
It has a lot of like the kids can go up and dance, and it's a lot of involvement with the kids. Again, I have no qualms about the show. I think the show's great.
Yeah.
My issue is, why would you build an outdoor concert venue or area where you are going to do things and not have built-in shade? Or at the very least, get one of those giant covering tent things to cover the top of it, because you're just baking in the sun.
The thing is, it looks nice. It
does.
looks cool.
And
but
I'm sure at night,
function over fashion, guys.
and I'm sure at night it looks great. But the problem is also Epcot's not really open that late to really take advantage of it being a nighttime thing.
That's true.
But it's something that clearly, in my mind, and I know we have talked about this before, it was designed in California. Now, you can do these sorts of things in California. California weather is much different than Florida. It's
never rains. It's
70-some degrees. It's not a big... Yeah, this would work great in California. In Florida, I mean, that's what kind of gets me. I'm like, how did nobody ever speak up and just go, hey, guys, it's Central Florida. It's the devil's backyard down here. Let's get some shade. That's my biggest gripe about it. And I don't know if they'll do anything about it, but I was surprised that there was none there. But
the easiest thing to do would be to like put up some of those, I don't know what they're called, but they put them in like playgrounds a lot, where it's like a shaded, like, they're not umbrellas.
I know what you're talking about. That's kind of what I was talking about. Like they're on just like not strings, but
yes,
I know what you're talking about.
They look like
cables,
flat kites.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If they put some of those up, oh my gosh, game changer. That'd be fine.
And you could do it to like fit the aesthetic of it.
Yes.
But yeah, I took video of just being like, I could not. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was so. I mean, and there were people that were standing there that were enjoying it, and like 10 minutes into the show, people were like, okay, I'm out.
Can't do it.
It's just too hot. I mean, you're just sweating sitting there.
Yeah.
So,
and there were quite a few people in the shade on the wings of the stage, because that's where the shade was and everything. And when we got there right before the show started. So that was probably a mistake too, just because we didn't.
But at the same time, I mean, shows like that, it's a walk-up show. It's not like it's not like you got to be seated for it. So,
but when the shade is limited.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
if you want shade, get there early. But I do think they added more of those little umbrellas in there. But I don't think there's still enough to be like where everybody would have shade. But I suppose they have done that. But yeah. So again, the Encanto show is great. The facility in which you watch it, if it's midday, I would avoid midday. I would go early.
Let's talk about the Mickey and Friends meet and greet. What do you think?
I mean, it's fine. I don't. Nothing really stuck out to me as like I guess, super unique about it. It's very much
Yeah.
like what they used to have.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It's okay.
The only thing I would say is the queue area. Again, I had another complaint about this. Was if you're in that queue area, it's outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
You are shaded, thankfully, but the ceiling's like 20 to 30 feet high, I would say.
It is.
And
yeah.
they had fans, but they were too small and spaced out quite a bit from each other to the point where it felt like you were just in a dead hot air area. Like it almost felt like a sauna.
Yeah.
So you're sitting out there just sort of sweating. And if you're directly underneath a fan, you would get a little bit of a breeze.
Yeah.
But I think you could have added more ventilation in that area. If you didn't want to make it totally enclosed into air conditioning, you could have added some ventilation. But
Yeah.
a little hot in that area. But again, at least it was in the shade. But I had no
Yeah.
qualms about the meet and greet. It was fine. You had Mickey, Goofy, and Minnie.
Yeah.
And kids.
It was a fast way to meet.
They were great with
all
the
three.
kids. And yeah, I mean, it was. I've heard some people complain about the backdrops aren't as detailed as ones in the past, which is true. But I think most people are there for the meet and greets and
Yeah.
not really the background stuff. But yeah, it was fine.
Yep. And then festival favorites.
Well, that's the quick service window there currently right now.
Yeah. Well, festival booth, not
Sorry.
quick service, but yes. So
It looks like a quick service kiosk thing is what it looks like. But
So again, these are mostly these things are pulled from the booth, the Encanto booth, which I am blanking on the name. I cannot think of the name of that outdoor kitchen at Flower and Garden. But what we did try was a cheese stuffed arepa with cilantro, lime, crema, and cotija. And we tried the coconut tres leche. And we tried the coconut passion fruit smoothie. So I loved everything.
yeah, I mean, honestly, all of this was really good.
So good.
It was very, very good. I have no complaints about any of the food here.
I have no notes. Gosh, the tres leche was so good. I could have eaten like 5 of those.
I didn't taste the coconut, so I thought I wouldn't like it because it had coconut in it,
Yeah.
but it was good. Yeah, I mean, I had, like I said, it was all very good. I mean, I would say well above average of,
Yes.
of a normal like food booth.
And like these were all items where they're $5 for the smoothie, $5 for the cake, and then $5.25 for the arepa. I again, no notes. It was delicious. I really don't have anything else to say except for it was just really, really good.
Yeah. Agreed. I have nothing
I
else
don't
to
know.
add.
They were great.
Yeah.
I did actually tried carrying them all the way back from the window, the pickup window, to Communicore Hall where we sat, and the both the tres leches and the arepa got smushed onto my shirt, so I lost a little bit of the whipped cream and.
Hey, if you would have told me
crema.
you were going to attempt to do this, I would have said, "Don't. I will go get it." I felt like that was going to be a bad idea from the start.
Why don't you have any confidence in me about that stuff?
I'm just saying, as history go. I mean, I'm just using this as evidence.
I
but
can do it.
I would have helped you. Well, it was great. You could go get your food and go sit in the cafeteria and eat it in the air conditioning. It was a nice thing.
It was nice.
Yes, that part was good. So in this area, there are things that were very good.
Yes.
The food, the Encanto show.
No construction walls.
I mean, true. No construction walls.
That was wonderful.
In terms of, is this a place that people are going to be clamoring to go to? I think this is a place where you could spend maybe an hour. I think there's a lot of families and kids that
yeah.
want to go see the Encanto show.
Yeah.
Maybe the adults will go, okay, let's get some food, or let's go meet the characters, and then let's set in the AC. I think you could do all this in about an hour, and then you're basically done in this area. Unless they have
Yes.
other things going on. Again, it's basically a flex space, so maybe they have some other stuff going on that you can check out. But as it stands
Yeah.
right now, I don't see this as something that's just going to absorb a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, yeah, we got to check out Communicore Hall, other than the show for the most part.
And like it does change colors. Like the outside of the building glows different colors at night, which is supposed to be really pretty. We weren't able to see it this day.
I mean, aesthetically, like some of it, I mean, the walls and stuff, I've heard some people complain about it because it looks like there's tiles look like they're missing. I think that's an aesthetic choice. That's supposed to
Yes.
kind of look like Spaceship Earth. I think it looks okay. I think if you just look at it, though, the building is just a very plain square building. There's nothing.
I know.
There's
I
nothing.
don't know why they do that.
Especially when we look at the concept art of like the Festival Gardens building that was going to go in, which looked like a futuristic spaceship almost.
Yeah. The rectangle square, like 90-degree corner thing is a lot cheaper to do. That's probably why they did it.
I mean, I think it's pretty evident at some point there a massive budget cut was on this Epcot overall. I think that's very evident.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say too, like, well, COVID. I'm like, oh, okay. But if you look at the year of, going into this, they had record revenues during this time period. And also at the same time, Universal was ramped up their construction of like Velocicoaster and Epic Universe that they're building.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to not give them the excuse and say, oh, of COVID, because they were making money.
Yeah.
And they had things. So I think for whatever reason, they had decided to cut the budget on this. And I'm glad the construction's done. I don't know. They originally had said, this is going to set Epcot up for the next 30 years. I don't know if that does that. I guess it depends on how they want to use this space. But as it just is now, it's a bit underwhelming. It's not what you would expect after all these years of construction being complete, including like the gardens area that we've talked about before. It's pretty. It looks really cool at night. But again, a lot of that seating and stuff in the middle there is basically unusable from June till November, maybe October, because it's just it's metal seats in the sun. There's no shade.
Yeah.
So a lot of this, again, I think a lot of this is designed in California, and nobody thought about Florida heat. But it's done though. At least a lot of it looks cool. I think overall, I would say I'm a bit underwhelmed compared to what was initially shown.
Well, basically, like, we're not a fan of the design and the function, but we like what's in it. We like the show. We like the food. We like the characters. You know what I'm saying? We like that stuff. We just don't like what it is in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest, honestly, complaint is just we're not getting Mary Poppins. We're not getting the Play Pavilion. We're not getting the gardens, the big gardens preview center. Or not preview center, but the festival center. There's another one.
Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, the Spaceship Earth redesign. So those are things that were taken away. But all in all, we'll see how it ages and all that stuff like that. But it is done, and there are good elements about it. But if you're going to go see the Encanto show, just don't do it at 3:00.
Yes.
At least during the summer. Avoid it during that period. But
bring back the fountain. Bring back the Fountain of Nations.
Gosh, that does bug me.
I know we talked about this last week.
I like the fountain.
I don't want to harp on it again, but that's right. We can move on. I'm sorry.
Bring back the fountain and the symmetry.
Okay.
But it probably won't happen. So. All right, let's move on and talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I think that I think somebody from New Orleans should say it where you can't understand it, like in Waterboy.
Nolans?
You go, Tiana Bayou Adventure. Remember that guy, the coach?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
I feel like everybody from New Orleans hates me right now. So, all right. Well, we went in for AP previews.
Okay, before we go any further, there will be spoilers about the ride. So if you don't want to hear anything about it, then just earmuffs.
Yes, earmuffs for a little bit.
For just like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, so last Thursday, we went for the annual pass holder previews. And this was the first time using the virtual queue system. So I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know how fast this is going to go. I don't know how competitive this is going to be. Like, I don't know how this is going to work. So the queue was actually open for like 2 hours after it went live at 7 a.m., which was crazy. But we got group 6. But the ride was experiencing a delayed opening, and we didn't get actually called to go ride until 11:40 that morning. We should have been like 9 a.m. or 9:15 at the very latest, but it did not open right away. So our son did not want to ride, so Jared decided that he was going to stay back with him, and so my mom and daughter and I, we rode first, and then the plan was for Jared and I to ride second. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, in shocking fashion, this ride has had issues with staying running.
We will discuss this in depth, won't we?
I guess so. I guess Jamie wants me to wait before I talk about this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what order do you want to go in then?
Let's talk about the queue. What do you think about the queue?
I liked the queue. It was well done. Again, I'm not going to act like I know a lot about Princess and the Frog, but it was well themed. They kind of had a backstory there with like some stuff with Tiana and her dad. Kind of had like you see like a front office, the kitchen. You can see her like making beignets. Like it was all the stuff like that was building. It did a good job of building a backstory to the ride, I will say.
Yeah.
They had a lot of
absolutely.
music playing in it. Very bright. It was brighter than I thought it would be in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, like it's basically she's opened a co-op restaurant called Tiana's Foods, and you need to know this to understand what's going on in the ride, kind of, because that's the reason for what you do in the ride. Does that make sense?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
I will say
but-
one. I think I will say about this ride, you have to pay attention to really understand the story on this.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Which
if you don't
I-
pay attention, then you're not. Gonna
I
know.
love that about theme park rides. You got to really
Okay.
take notes.
But my favorite part of the queue was the area with the family memorabilia, where you could see like pictures of her father and like he was like in war, and then you see him writing letters to her
Yeah.
and then signed "Daddy" on the bottom. I was like, oh, this is so sweet. That was definitely my favorite part. And then you come to the salt mines, which is supposed to be serving as the headquarters to the new restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Which, can you explain what a salt mine is, please?
I mean, it's where you mine salt.
Okay, but like, so are they plentiful in Louisiana?
As of my understanding, no. I don't
Okay.
think there's many salt mines you're going to find in Louisiana or
Okay.
mountains per se. But
Okay, all right.
you know, we're not going to talk. I've said my piece about how I felt like this ride was a little bit forced in this area, but
Okay,
it's here.
okay.
But I don't believe. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not going to act like I'm a salt mine expert, but
Okay.
I don't believe there's a lot of salt mines in Louisiana. No, I don't think
Fair
so.
enough.
But
And then you get on to the ride after this. But like, there's a lot to look at in the queue, but nothing is interactive, which is fine.
I was a little surprised by that, considering some of the later, like the newer ones we've seen of interactive queues. But I will say the queue was well done. I liked the queue a lot.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And the music is good too throughout. So I like that.
All right, well, let's talk about the ride itself. So, well, I guess we'll go. You rode it.
I did.
I guess that's where we can spill it. So when I went to ride it, I only got to ride about a third of it, and then it went down again. So I can talk about a third of it. I did watch some POVs, so I do know what happens in this, so I can speak to it from that perspective, but I can't speak to it firsthand. I was going to wait until I experienced the whole thing, but on the day we rode this, we finally got to go on around 11 something. It went down while we were on it, and then it didn't reopen that day until like 5.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's had issues with this ongoing, even as of today. I think it was down for most of the day, so it's had these ongoing issues. From what I've heard, there's sensors involved because instead of just having the animatronic looping, just on time, there's a sensor that I guess is trying to time the animatronics with boats, and I guess there's issues with that sensor or sensors. I don't know all the specifics, but apparently it is something along those lines.
So it's the same ride system that Splash had, but it works in conjunction with the animatronics, like Jared said. Splash it was almost like a record.
It just went in a
It
loop.
just kept going and
Right.
never stopped. Like the animatronics did the same thing over and over again, no matter who was going by. So that's the complexity of this new system. It's a sensor that is tripped whenever.
I'm surprised it doesn't have like a B mode, where if that sensor trips, it just defaults into just going into a loop, but apparently it does not. Because we were on it, I mean, Tiana started talking, and then she just went completely like dead, and like it was really kind of creepy.
She stopped moving.
And then all the lights came on,
Yeah.
and so we were evacuated off. And I know people think that sounds exciting. It's really not. The backstage is. We did the Keys of the Kingdom tour and saw the same stuff we were back there with, but you did see where they had the floats for the parade.
Yes, we did see that.
But
We did see that.
We sat there for about 15, 20 minutes, I'd say, before we got escorted off. But yeah, that part happened. It's happening to a lot of people, but we will talk about the ride here. So
Okay.
I guess let you take it.
Okay.
You can start it, and then I'll just add in where I want to add in.
Okay, so here's the story of the ride. If you're unfamiliar with the exact story, here it is. So around a year after the events of Princess and the Frog, so about 1927, Tiana's Foods is booming and Mardi Gras is near. Tiana needs to find musicians for the big Mardi Gras party, so we are tasked, the guests, are tasked with finding these musical critters. Now, in fact, the first animatronic of Tiana, she says, quote, "Let's meet up with Louis to find musicians for our party. Look out, Bayou, here we come." That's what she says. So immediately like, okay, we're helping find these musical critters. You hear songs like Down in New Orleans, Almost There, Gonna Take You There, Dig a Little Deeper, and Special Spice is just that new song. So basically there are 3 sections of this ride. So the first section is you're given the task to find the critters while exploring the bayou, and then you find a bunch. Basically, you're like, oh, these will work. Oh, how about these? Like that basically is what you're going through. Then the second part, you shrink down to the size of a frog by Mama Odie. And then the third part, you rise back up in time for the Mardi Gras party and the final scene in the Fleur de Bayou. So those are the 3 sections of the ride. He saw right before you see Mama Odie, right before the frogs. So he got the first third
I did.
of the ride. Based on what you saw, what did you think? I mean, I know this is hard, but what did you think of it?
So I'll talk about based on what I saw personally and then what I saw POV wise. So personally, the animatronics are really good.
Yes, they are.
They're very good.
Yes.
So there's a few Tiana ones multiple times. So
yes,
I would say those are updated ones. So that was really good. The music's good. I did enjoy the music.
it's fun. Like you can dance to it.
I mean, it definitely
creates.
I will say it does create sort of like a party atmosphere. So I get what they were going for with that, which I think it works. It had a lot of colors, which was nice.
The fireflies.
Well,
the
they implemented a lot. I think it's very similar to Navi River, where they use a lot of those. It's screens, but it looks like you're in, it's like those light up leaves and things. I think they use a lot of that on this in parts. Now, I do agree. I've heard a lot of people's complain about this, and I would agree with this. There's a lot of dead spaces where there's not a lot going on, where they rely on the music and or these sort of visuals of the critters in the woods and the light up areas, the fireflies. But it's definitely because you just go through areas so there's nothing going on for a little bit.
It's like wasted space.
A little bit.
I thought it lacked that too.
So
yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit of that, but again, it's not like you're on there for like an hour doing that. There were parts that use screens. So the only thing I would say is like you have a lot of animatronics, and then there's parts where they use screens instead of animatronics. Like there's one where you've got Tiana and Louis, excuse me.
Yeah.
But the animatronic is like right after that screen. So I kind of felt it was weird to be like, here's an animatronic, here's a screen of them doing that, and then there's another animatronic. So I kind of felt like it should have all just been animatronics in that view, at least on that part. Again, that's being nitpicky, admittedly, but I was just sort of like, oh, okay. Like I didn't really understand why they would do it that way.
Yeah.
But all in all, what I saw, it was fine. I like the music of it. Now, what I saw from the POV, I think all of that theming, a little bit of those dead spaces, carries through it. And then the final scene is really cool with all those characters in there, which some of this stuff was, Disney had already put out before. But I think the final scene was good. Had the music and all the animatronics in there. So all in all, I think it's fine. I mean, in terms of like, well, here, give your thoughts and we'll give final thoughts. So I thought it was fine. I had a few things about some of the dead spaces and little things here and there, but overall, I think the animatronics were really good. The music was good, and it was, for what I got to ride, it was fun. But what did you think?
Yeah, animatronics were amazing. Loved those. Music was great. The end scene was super pretty. Lots going on. Now, when we went by, Tiana was moving, but one of the women, what's her name? I forgot her name. The blonde girl in the movie. Don't quote me on this. I don't know.
I don't know her name.
She was not moving. So I've heard this can happen. There's some animatronics that are just like frozen, not moving for whatever reason, because of the sensor. But anyway, lots going on there. It was great. And then the big drop always is fun. We didn't get really wet, but we were also sitting in the back. If you were sitting in the front row, you're going to get soaked. Just FYI.
Was it always like that?
So they have turned the cannons off that make you extra wet.
Oh, that's
when you go
right.
down, they turn those off. But when you come down from the top, the force of the log flume or whatever you call it, the log vehicle, it sprays you like right in the front. So like if you're in the front row, it's gonna spray you in the face and more. So we were in the back and we didn't get hardly anything.
Okay.
So it was great. I liked the exterior of the ride. I thought they decorated it beautifully. Whether it's supposed to be like, the Bayou Swamp versus like Splash Mountain set up, like, okay, whatever. But I didn't like the red clay mountain look with the sticks. You know what I'm talking about? The sticks that came out of the ground.
Thorns.
Yeah. And
Briar Patch.
Yeah, I didn't like that as much. I like this. Tiana's is much better. It's like lush with like greenery and flowers, and it has the water tower over there. Like I like that so much better. And I already talked about the fireflies, but
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool at night. I don't know if I like the overgrown. Like, I feel like there's too much. It almost looks like an overgrown, like what Splash Mountain would look like during a zombie apocalypse. Like everything's just overgrown on it a little bit. Like there's so much green on it. Not saying it looks bad, but just it's a lot. But I think it probably aesthetically looks better. Just from I would agree. They just have that brown area there, but it looks fine. I think I've seen it at night. It looks really cool at night.
It looks
with
beautiful.
all the lights, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have major and I will say one thing I don't quite understand about this ride is why Dr. Facilier was not involved. And I've heard some people say that Disney has stated internally that, you know, he's problematic because they want to stay away from anything to do with like gods or religion, and his whole thing is voodoo. And my whole thing is, well, you use him a lot in the Halloween party. So he's clearly somebody he is popular, and people use, you know, they use him to promote Halloween party. He's involved in that. So I don't know why you couldn't use him here, but you could use him in the Halloween party. And then some people have said, well, you know, he's no longer part of the story because this story takes place after, you know, the movie, which I would go into. I just wish Disney would get back to just putting, you know, doing rides where you're just doing scenes from the movies that you know and love. And then you can include characters like Dr. Facilier, or if you're doing Beauty and the Beast, you could do like Gaston. He's a popular villain, things like that. So I would say I think he needed to be in this. I think it would have been better. I think you could have put him before you go up the hill. Kind of be this ominous, like, oh, there's something looming. Like I think he would have added to a better story to the ride
if it was a retelling. If it was a retelling, yes.
Well, I feel like it. I don't know. To me,
but you're not retelling.
I get it, but I like the idea of retelling stories versus trying to create new stories for theme park rides in general. But
there you go.
That's just saying. I think he would have been a good addition to this. No, for whatever reason, he's not involved. But I think that would have been because again, he's so. That's one of the most popular things from that movie is Dr. Facilier to this day.
Yeah.
So
people like it.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, from what I saw, it's fine. Now, in terms of everyone wants to know this versus Splash Mountain, what would you say?
Do I like it better than Splash Mountain? Not yet. No, I like Splash Mountain better. For numerous reasons, but honestly, that's okay. Like I still like this ride.
You don't have to defend yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm totally not defending myself. What I'm saying is, like, I can like both.
No, you can't. This is the internet.
Yes, I can.
Make a choice.
Yes, I can. I like Splash Mountain.
Fight or flight.
I like Splash Mountain. I also like this. So I'm happy either way. Now this is not a ride I'm going to do every time I go to Magic Kingdom, and this is not a ride I'm going to do when it's chilly outside. So like, you're probably not going to catch me riding it between like November and like February. So when it's hotter, maybe, but it's still a water ride, and there's still the chance that you might get wet. You might get your clothes wet, your socks wet, etc. So that will keep me from riding this over and over again. Not like I do like with Guardians of the Galaxy, where I would ride that every time if I could. So, you know, like I said, I still like it. I just don't like it as much as Splash. I still like it though. However, the virtual queue and the malfunctions of the ride and the breakdowns and everything, they have got to figure that out.
I was like, they got to get that ironed out.
Because it is, you know, as of the episode coming out is the 20th, they've got like a week to get it all sorted out, and it's not getting better. It's still so many breakdowns every day. In fact, today, when we're recording this on Tuesday, they did not open the 1 p.m. virtual queue for boarding groups. They just didn't offer it because at 6 p.m. I think they were just now calling the like boarding group 15. Yeah. From the 7 a.m. drop. So, I mean, like, they're just experiencing so many problems. They were doing it all through the AP previews on Thursday, on Friday, on Sunday. You know, it's inconsistent with its reliability. And, once they figure that out, it'll be great. But, like, if you're going to go in the next couple weeks, months, whatever, expect it to not be fully operational. Like, expect to go into this ride seeing animatronics that aren't working, or seeing the mouse not moving but their hands moving, or something like that. The screens aren't working in the frog part. So I mean, that's just what I gotta say.
I guess I don't know. Part of me, I'm just like, what? How do they not work this out before they get this far? It has been a known problem. And I think it's also sad, too, that this is now something that's like, well, like you just said, well, just if you're going to ride this, be expected that parts of it aren't going to work. I think that's kind of sad. I think that's more of again, we talked about with Communicore Hall and this, I think it's more of where Imagineering is right now. And that this is, I don't feel like this is something. No, I'm not saying rides don't ever go down. I'm not saying that there was never issues before, but I feel like for the most part, when there's a known issue with a ride, this would have been worked out in the past more. I mean, and if they have a sense of it's not working and you continually have the issue, I don't know. I mean, either get new sensors or have a B mode or do something different. Like just hoping that it's working because clearly something's not working. I think.
Well, it's also the amount of downtime when it does go down, you have to evacuate, and I guess it's like a hard reset they have to do that takes a long time.
Well, that's what I was saying. Every time it goes down, it's closed down for hours. So
I don't know.
they got to get that worked out.
Yeah.
But again, as the ride is, I mean, versus Splash Mountain versus this, again, I was never the biggest Splash Mountain fan. I'm not a big water ride fan in general.
Yeah.
I don't really like being wet other than if I'm going to go swimming. I don't like being splashed either. So, I'm not probably the best judge of this ride, and I didn't have a big allegiance to Splash Mountain. I don't have a big allegiance to Tiana. In terms of liking which one better, I probably enjoyed, it could be nostalgia. I like Splash probably a bit more, but I didn't get to experience all of Tiana. So I can't, my view on this is obviously skewed from it being shut down and being evacuated off of it. But
yeah,
as I said, it's fine. It's kind of what I figured it would be. It's like, it's the same type of ride, just different animatronics and different music and things like that. It was fun, the parts that I got to do, but I'll ride it again. And if something changes, I'll let you guys know. But I think it's probably basic exactly what I anticipated it would be.
Yeah.
And then I think ultimately this ends up being probably the exact same as Splash Mountain in terms of demand for it after this all settles down. It's a water ride. It does limit how much people want to ride it. And you're not, like you were saying, you're not going to want to ride this in January.
Probably not.
Most people are not going to. So I think it definitely has a ceiling in terms of the amount of people that will, eventually. Now, obviously, when it first opens, it's different. But eventually, once, a year later, I kind of feel like it'll settle right into where Splash Mountain was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it was a good time. I had a great time on the ride. It's fun. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Those are our thoughts. Jamie's a fence setter.
How dare you?
I mean,
I'm not a fence setter.
I just said I am too. I just wanted to
I'm
accuse
just
you of it.
literally, that's exactly how I feel. I like both of them.
I'm trying to mine for content. I'm just trying to create controversy. See, this is the thing. I think a lot of people expect me to hate this. If I don't
understand why though. Why do people expect you to hate it?
I don't know. People are people. I don't know. I think here's the thing about me. I won't fake my like or disdain for something if I actually don't have it. So if I do complain about something, it's because I genuinely have a beef about it. If I like it, I like it. So I'm not gonna just make up things just to make up things. But it's fine.
Okay.
It's a water ride. There you go. So, all right, but that will do it for the show. So be sure to follow us on social media everywhere at Cap the Magic, except for on TikTok, we're at Capture the Magic. Be sure, again, to check us out on YouTube at CTM Podcast. If you want video versions of the show, if you want more maybe daily, but more news updates on the regular basis, Cap the Magic on YouTube to be doing more short videos over there. And we also have some other shows on the network. We have the CTM Universal Show where we talk about Universal Studios. And this week, we actually just had a new one talking about the new Sensational Show over at Universal Studios that debuted. We talked all about that. And Jamie also has Trip Tales, which is her trip report show. And when's the next one there coming out?
Monday.
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 All right. Check that out on this feed. Also, the Universal Show is on this feed and its own feed as well. If you would like to separate those out, you can. And if you want even more content, Club 32, ctmvip.com is where you go for that. So that'll do it for the show. So thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as Jamie always likes to say,
We will see you in the parks.
bye.